Welcome to the Bending the Bracket podcast. Here are your hosts, Ben Madison and Lane Smith.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Bending the Bracket. I am your host, Ben Madison, alongside my co-host, Lane Smith, as always. Sir Smith, how are you this evening?
Almost the weekend, Thursday night, feeling good. Had a good football game to get us started for the weekend, and looking forward to seeing what the rest of the weekend holds.
Absolutely. 147 remaining in this game. Falcons 25-17 over Carolina, and you got to think that the Falcons are going to do what they always do and find a way to lose the game.
They're going to blow it. It's just a question of how. They're going to blow it.
Is that a guarantee?
That is a guarantee. Lock it up. That's a deadlock pick. How about that? It's an early deadlock pick.
Well, I'm going to go the other way. I think Carolina can somehow lose this game because they haven't looked that great. And I think Atlanta is turning a corner. They're officially going to work themselves out of a top 5 pick.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Atlanta's still Atlanta.
That's true, but they look, they don't really look like Atlanta tonight. Now, we still have a minute 47 to figure that out. But
I mean, it is Thursday. Thursday games are kind of weird. You never know how those are going to go.
That's right.
That is true.
If they do hold on to this lead, then they need to just say we would like every Thursday game. And that's how it's going to be. We're never playing on Sunday again, ever.
That's what, that gives them a chance.
Absolutely. So the Dodgers did it. The Dodgers won the World Series. So I know you're disappointed about this because you wanted a dramatic ending to the Dodgers season in a negative way. You wanted to see the team, you want to see dynamite put into the team. It did not happen. They finally get the World Series that they've been longing for so long now. And look, I'm actually happy they did it just for Dave Roberts. I think he's a good manager. I know you don't care for him too much. I think he's a good manager. I'm glad he finally got that monkey off his back.
Here's the thing. I don't mind Dave Roberts. I don't like analytics in sports. And so I have a lot of respect for guys like Terry Francona that are more managers and not analytics guys. Dave Roberts goes purely analytics. And that's what lost the Rays the game, by the way, pulling the pitcher with a freaking one hitter in the 6th inning.
Yeah. But that was, go ahead.
It was terrible move. And that's what I hate about baseball these days is the analytics is taking over the game. Managers can't do their jobs because they have to play the analytical part of it. It's crap.
Well, I was talking to Coach Brown on the Grace podcast about this, and I was asking him what role do analytics play at the high school level? He said they play a little bit. Obviously, they don't have, the organization and the stat keeping that a professional program would have, or a professional team rather. But, he said more or less the same thing. And I think there's a balance. I think you take that data into consideration because everyone does in 2020, but at the same time, you can't let it make decisions for you. Otherwise, then you're just a robot. And I think that everyone wants to pile on Kevin Cash for this decision. It was a stupid decision. Nobody's saying it wasn't. But he did get the Rays to this point managing that way. And you can say, well, maybe, hey, they can't get over the hump by managing that way. But it was really puzzling to see them pull Snell out of that game.
It made absolutely no sense in that situation with the game on the line like it was. You need to get to Game 7. And I think that part of his thinking was he would have Snell available for a Game 7 if you pulled him early. But you can't. I mean, in that situation, in that close of a game, if it's 5-0, okay. But it was 2-0.
It was 1-0.
You got to 1-0. You got to keep Snell in there.
Yeah, I thought it was a really bad decision, and you could tell that he was managing not to lose. He wasn't managing to win.
And that's what too many managers fall into these days.
And look, I don't think they would have won the game 1-0, but you just don't know. The Dodgers have such a strong offensive lineup. I just couldn't see them getting shut out over 9 innings. So it may not have ended up making any difference, but it sure didn't help the situation. And it really got the Dodgers going psychologically when they were like, "Hey, we don't have to face this guy anymore." I mean, if you listen to the post game, they were thrilled when they saw him get pulled out of that game. And so, is what it is. Hindsight's 2020. But from the armchair of all of us, it does not look like the right decision was made. But at any rate, it was a good season. It was a good season for the 29th highest payroll in baseball, competing with the Dodgers. And it was a good World Series.
It was more entertaining than I thought it would be. Honestly, I didn't. I thought the Dodgers would run away with it. Honestly, I was just hoping for better, and we got better. I mean, it got to Game 6. That was better than I expected, and the games were relatively close the whole series. So nobody had a game where it just was 10-0 and not exciting and nothing to watch. So that was good for the league.
Right, and even as good as the NLCS was between the Dodgers and Braves, there was still a couple of games in that. Well, there's more than one game in that series where it was a minimum of a 5-run victory. So yeah, totally some really good games in the World Series. Thursday Night Football has ended. The Falcons did hang on 25-17.
Oh my God! Wow.
I know.
They need that meme that goes around with the certificate that says "Congratulations, you did it."
Yes.
And we need that. The Falcons need that on the Twitter account,
and they need it framed. Put it in Arthur Blank's office.
Put it in the locker room. It's you won a game,
Arthur. you act like they're the Jets. You act like they're the Cowboys. Come on now.
They're not the Jets. We should. Yeah, they are better than the Jets,
and they're better than Dallas too. Let's just be honest with ourselves. They're much better than Dallas.
I mean, I'm trying to take your mind off of Dallas because I know I know you're losing sleep over it.
I really wasn't. And I even did not put them in our notes for this show until I saw the line for that game. So we might as well get it out of the way now so we can actually focus on teams that are relevant, teams that matter. Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Dallas is at Philadelphia. No one should care about that.
But they do because it's Dallas.
It's a battle for, the worst division in the history of football. The line is Philadelphia by 9.5.
It's insane.
Isn't that crazy?
God. That's nuts.
I mean, if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about the Cowboys,
yeah,
the Cowboys are
right.
They're a 9.5 point dog at Philadelphia.
But is Dalton playing?
I don't think so.
That explains the line then.
Yeah, but Dalton and DiNucci, there's not a 7 or an 8 point gap between those two. There's just not. I mean, this is the Jets are playing Kansas City, and that line is 19. This line is 9.5. Now tell me how that makes sense. Vegas thinks Dallas is the worst team in the league, and that's just how it is. There's no other way. There's no other way to explain this.
And I don't. I mean, I know you think they're the worst team in the league. I really don't. I think the Jets are by far and away the worst team in the league.
I don't know. I mean, like I said last show, I think if Dallas was playing Kansas City, it would literally be a 25 point lead, 25 point line. But we're not going to get into this game because it really doesn't matter. It's totally irrelevant for anything actually playoff related. But a 9.5 point line for a 2-win Philadelphia team to be favored by 9.5 is just wild to me.
That's insanity.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into some matchups that actually matter in week 8 of the NFL season. The big one, the one I'm looking forward to, Pittsburgh Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens. That one,
can't wait for that.
That one is Ravens by 4. So they're essentially pretty much even. Ravens get an extra point over the home field advantage. That's typically 3. Who you like and why? I already know you like Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'm picking Pittsburgh in this one. I think that I think Pittsburgh still needs a statement win. They've had a couple good wins the last few weeks, but they need a statement win. And Baltimore would be a statement for them.
Yeah, that would be a good win. And look, in this rivalry game, Pittsburgh has typically dominated it. And so I think they can win this game. It would be a huge victory for them because not only would they hold a tiebreaker, they would go up by 2 full games over the Ravens. The Ravens, right, who a lot of people thought were going to go 16-0, which I always thought was insanity. But
and that line, by the way, is insane.
Ravens -4?
-4. That's crazy.
Well, I mean,
Pittsburgh's going to cover that.
you typically get 3 at home anyway. So they're essentially saying Ravens are 1 point better than the Steelers. You still think that's crazy?
No, if you put it like that, no. But I just don't like that 4 points. I think Pittsburgh easily covers that.
See, I don't know. I think Baltimore can win this game.
Oh, the Baltimore can. I mean, they're a good team. And by the way, I left them off my top 7 last week, so
I noticed
no
that.
one
I
should
was
take
like,
me
what,
seriously.
What? And
no one should take me seriously ever.
You just they didn't play last week, so you can use the bye as an excuse that they were
I'll
totally
use
irrelevant.
that.
They did not exist last week.
I'm hoping they'll lose this week so I can justify them.
There you go.
My tops.
They're not that good. They're only 5-2. They're going to be 5-5. They're going to be 5
like a genius.
They're going to be 5-10, 5-11.
Yeah. We'll get show email. We'll get killed. People in Baltimore.
This will be a good game for Baltimore, and I mean, I think Baltimore is going to win this game because this is Pittsburgh's toughest test yet. They're on the road after being on the road against Tennessee last week. We'll just have to see how that defense can handle Pittsburgh's offense, and we know what Pittsburgh's defense is. It's going to give Lamar Jackson problems.
Oh, no doubt. They're going to rush him all day long.
They're going to get pressure on him. They're going to force him to be a pocket passer, which he's not a bad pocket passer, but he's not a great pocket
he's not.
passer.
He's gotten better.
It's definitely the weakest part of his game, which is still saying a lot because the other parts of his game are fantastic. So he can definitely pick you apart from the pocket. This is the first of 2 matchups between these teams, so I don't put too much stock into it. I don't see a blowout either way. Wouldn't be surprised to see Pittsburgh win the game, but I like Baltimore. I think Baltimore wins it by maybe about 7 points, if I'm guessing.
There's no way it's that high.
You don't think?
No way it's that high. Not 7. I mean, I don't like 4, much less 7. I think Pittsburgh can close that gap easily.
We'll see. I mean, Chase Claypool has been a beast this year. Ben's looking good. They're running the ball well. And, of course, that defense just does not give up a lot of points at all.
No, just the 2 defenses, because the 2 defensive lines are solid, and they both pressure the quarterback very well.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. The biggest tragedy or sin of the NFL is that this game has not been moved, and it is still a 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and the next
seriously,
if the one on Sunday is good, they won't make that mistake in the second game.
No, not at all. It just makes no sense to me. When you have the Sunday night game is Dallas and Philadelphia.
You're so down on Dallas. God.
No, listen to me. Yeah, a 2-5 versus a 2-4-1.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Well, it's a rivalry. I mean, I get it. This is NFC East rivalry.
And Pittsburgh and Baltimore is not a rivalry.
No, I know. But Dallas and Pittsburgh, they move the needle more than Baltimore and Pittsburgh does. Or Dallas and Philly.
Dallas and Philadelphia. Yeah. Oh, I don't think so. Because the Steelers are media royalty, not to the extent of the Cowboys, but they're within that top
they're second.
5
they're 2
ratings.
They're number
draw.
2.
They're 2
for sure.
Depending on who you ask. Some people are going to say the Niners or the Packers, but
no.
The Steelers, I think, are number 2.
Yeah.
I think you probably got to be right about that. But at any rate, I don't know what the heck they're doing unless flexing is just not available. It seems like they've flexed not near as many games this year as they have in the past, or the last couple of years, rather.
No, I think that Dallas is always going to be the ratings go-getter. You know, they're always going to win the ratings war. And Pittsburgh, in my mind, I say Pittsburgh's number 2 because it doesn't matter where I go. It's like Dallas Cowboys. It doesn't matter where you go. You always see Pittsburgh fans everywhere. And
yes.
I know a ton of them. So, and not a one of them that I know even lives close to Pittsburgh. So they have a great following.
Yeah, they do. I mean, just like you have Cowboys fans all over the place, you have Steelers fans and Packers fans to an extent, Niners as well. But yeah, those 2, I think you're right, are definitely the top 2. But anyway, it is what it is. Unless you have Sunday ticket, a lot of people aren't going to get to see this game, and that's crazy.
Well, is it on CBS or?
Well, it'll be on CBS.
Surely it'll be the game of the week on CBS.
Yeah, but not at noon. At the noon slot, they always have regional coverage games.
Right, but isn't that? I mean, oh, that's right. Because at 3 o'clock's when they do the.
Yeah. So if you're here in Texas, you're
That
going to
sucks.
see. Let's see where we at. Texas typically gets Texans games,
Yep.
Colts games, Chiefs games.
God, NFL dropped
Baltimore
the
and
ball
Pittsburgh
so
are
bad on that.
they're both so far away that it's going to be a regionally covered game.
Because they could have flexed it to 3:25 and still kept Dallas in prime time.
Oh, easy.
That's insanity.
I'm pretty sure the 3:25 is going to be the Saints and either Saints and Bears or the Niners Seahawks. Niners Seahawks is a good rivalry game. It's far better than Dallas and Philadelphia this year.
Seahawks
but it's still not.
Out.
Oh no, not at all.
I think Seattle's gonna come back strong after last week.
No, I like San Francisco in this game.
Oh, come on now.
I do. Yeah, I don't know why
Russell
you're not.
Wilson in that offense. Come on.
Have you
coming
seen
off a loss?
The defense.
Yeah, I know, but coming off a loss,
I think Garoppolo might throw for 750. I'm serious.
I don't think Garoppolo is throwing for 750 on Dallas, much less Seattle.
Well, they're virtually the same defense. I think Seattle's given up even more yards. So
no way, really?
Oh, I'm dead serious.
I mean, I hadn't watched a ton of.
I'm
Seattle
dead serious.
games,
The difference is Russell Wilson.
Wow.
But the Seahawks are not going to beat you 20-17. They're going to have to score 35 to beat you.
That's true.
And so Russ has to be perfect. Not saying he can't be, but the pressure is going to mount on him as this season goes along. And we're going to just have to see, how much he can hold up to that. It's really not fair to him that they've put this bad of a defense around him. Now, they have had some injuries. They're going to be getting Jamal Adams back. They're getting Carlos Dunlap from Cincinnati in that trade. So they're at least attempting to get better on defense, but they still have a long way to go.
Carlos Dunlap is, I don't know. That's the epitome of just a spoiled athlete because he just created drama in Cincinnati just so he'd get out of there. I can't stand players that do that.
I mean, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world.
Well, you're making millions of dollars to do your job. If that's your team, play out your contract and leave. Or wait to the offseason, demand a trade. But don't do it during the season. It's a distraction for the team, the locker room, and a team that's already not very good. There's no reason to create that kind of drama and discourse.
What was he doing to create drama?
We had to go back and.
Was he like making secrets, like telling lies in the locker room?
No, he was
like whispering secrets and stuff.
I think he posted something on Twitter about want to get the hell out of Cincinnati or something like that.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, that's distasteful, and I think it also depends on the player. If you're Aaron Donald and the Rams are a disaster, which they're not, but if they're a disaster, and you are probably the best defensive lineman in football, then you can do that. If you're an elite player, you can do that because your franchise has not lived up to their end of the bargain. But if you are, middle of the road player, no, you should play, and you should play your contract out, like you said.
But I think that's for everybody. Stars too. I mean, you can't have that precedent for one group of people and not expect that from the next group of people. Like it goes for stars and non-stars.
See, I don't think it does because stars are what makes the league operate.
Yes, but they should also be more adult and set the example and play out their contract. I didn't like Julio Jones a couple of years ago sitting at a camp wanting a new contract when he'd just gotten paid like 2 years prior to that.
Yeah, I do remember that one. I think it depends on the situation. I do see your point where you say, okay, they've signed a contract, so they need to play that out. But I think probably if they've signed a contract, I would tend to agree with you. However, if you're drafted by an organization and you are Jamal Adams, for example, and the Jets have been a disaster the entire start of your career, it's a short shelf life in the NFL. He had every right to say, "Get me the hell out of New York."
I'll counter that with this: you don't see Sam Darnold doing that. As much as I hate Darnold, you don't see him doing that. If anybody has any right to do that, it would be him.
He should have. He should not put up with it.
He's playing out his contract.
Well, but he's wasting years. He's wasting limited years that he gets.
I agree with you, but He's playing out his contract. I can respect that from anybody that's going to play out their contract. Because it would be so easy for him to walk away, and he should walk away.
He should. Because
Andrew Luck did it.
Well, I mean, I don't think you should walk
Colts
away.
weren't a terrible organization.
I don't think you should walk away the way Andrew Luck retired. I don't think you should walk away that way.
No. I'm not saying retire, but I'm just saying.
But I think at the end of this season, he should start causing some noise to get out of town.
Well, he will. His contract's up, so he will.
Well, they're probably going to get the first pick anyway, so he's going to be gone.
Right. So he's probably gone anyway. But I mean, that's an example though. He played out his contract and he had every right to walk away and should have considering what they've gone through.
Yeah, I mean, I see your point in that it's the noble thing to do. But at the end of the day, especially in the NFL, which it's the least guaranteed money in pro sports, it's the most dangerous and the shortest careers, unless you're a quarterback and you could play 15 or 20 years. But most position players, especially safeties, running backs, those that are involved in so many hits, they have a good 6 to 8 years, and they're not going to waste it. So I don't blame them. I mean, they wouldn't pay Jamal Adams. He wanted out. So,
well, Jamal Adams is a different case too. He wasn't causing a lot of problems. The organization was kind of giving it to him too. So
for sure.
Yeah. But Dunlap was just taking it upon himself to do all this stuff, and the organization was silent. So here's
the thing then. So I would sort of agree with you, but I'm going to say this. So let's say Joe Burrow plays this season and next season, and they win 6 games in 2 years. Okay. So they go 6 and 26.
Okay.
Why shouldn't he say this organization is a joke? They don't take care of me. They don't give any effort to put players around me. I'm no longer playing for this organization. Trade me.
Do it. I have no problem with that. Just do it in the off season where it's not a distraction.
Okay. Well, I mean, we can agree on that, but I'm saying, so you don't have a problem with it. You just have a problem with it in the middle of the season.
Yeah, right. I don't like doing it during the season.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, so we just spent 4 minutes talking about something we agree on.
I mean, I don't like it ever, but I mean, I don't have as much of a problem with it if you're doing it in the off season because it's not a distraction to your team.
So if Cincinnati,
this team's trying to win games on a hard enough.
Let's say Cincinnati's 3-13 this year, and they start next year 0-10, and he goes, you know what? Screw this, I'm out. That's a problem.
Yeah, no, that's to me that's big.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
And a lot of people aren't going to sign him. They're going to look at him if he does that.
It depends on how bad they need a quarterback.
That's true.
Because there's things you can do. If you're a quarterback, there's things you can do and get away with if you're a talented quarterback that you could never get away with if you're a middle linebacker or
that's true.
or a corner, unless you're an elite corner. But you get my point. So
yeah.
Anyway, we get way off the beaten path.
That's the most time we've ever spent on Cincinnati. So.
Yeah. Well, no, we spent a lot of time on Cincinnati because of Burrow, and he actually makes Cincinnati halfway watchable.
He makes them talk about. He makes them interesting enough to talk about.
Yeah, I'm not going to go near as far as to say they're relevant because they're not, but
we're not saying that.
They're much more relevant than they were last year. So we're not actually covering their game this week, which is this. So this is all the Cincinnati you get. I promise you, we're now done talking about Cincinnati. Please don't turn it off. I know you were about to unsubscribe and delete it for all the Cincinnati talk. We're done with Cincinnati.
Fair enough.
We're on to Cincinnati.
We're on to Cincinnati.
We're off of Cincinnati. But we are on to Belichick and the New England Patriots at the Buffalo Bills. Not going to be an exciting game. This is the season for New England. I think they've already mailed it in. They're shopping Stephon Gilmore around. They're seeing what they can do. I think this is it. I think they're going to rebuild this season. If they win this game, I think they may still compete. But I saw earlier where Julian Edelman's not going to be out for a period of time. He's having a procedure done. So I think they're pretty much mailing the season in, man.
I don't know. I'm not counting New England out. As long as Belichick's there, I'm not counting them out.
But at some point, you have to understand. You said it yourself last week. There are no offensive weapons outside of Cam.
Right, but I saw this team get to the brink of, not the brink of the Super Bowl, but I saw this team go a lot farther than anybody expected them to last year with virtually the same roster.
Yeah, but they still had your boy who's supposedly still in his prime and amazing.
Right, but then now they've got Cam Newton, who in a lot of ways is better because he can run.
See, we got fooled by the Seattle game because
We
now
did.
we realize that anyone with a pulse can throw for 400 on Seattle.
Yeah,
And so that really wasn't that great. So you take that game out of New England's record this year, or rather Cam's performances, and then you also say, well, they beat Miami in week 1. Cam was pretty pedestrian in that game. He did run for I think 72 or 75 yards, but you take that performance in Seattle out, and you're really wondering, does Cam still have it?
that is a fair question. It is, because it's coming off the last couple of games. That's a very fair question. You with the injuries he's had and what he dealt with in Carolina, you do wonder if he's over the hill or not. I tend to think that Cam is still has a lot left to play for, and if he had a better roster, I think he'd be a lot better. I think he'd be playing a lot better right now, but we don't know that for sure.
Yeah, and that's 99% of the quarterbacks, right? I mean, outside of Wilson, we don't really know if Mahomes could do that because he's always had a lot of talent around him. I think he's good enough to do that. Really, outside of those two, and maybe Aaron Rodgers to an extent, you've got to have the players around you. And this roster was already so bad, and now Edelman's going to be out. And if they trade Gilmore, I think that's the absolute, that's the flag that they're done.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you believe on Gilmore. I've seen some places say they're not trading him, so it depends on what you believe as far as that goes. If they do trade Gilmore, I agree that's Belichick waving a white flag.
I mean, they can knock off Buffalo, but even if they win that game, they may have decided, we're going to do what we're going to do, because honestly, 8-8 is really, 7-9, 8-8. That's really kind of a no man's land place to finish. You still get a decent first round pick, but you're not going to be in the running for, top 5. Of course, you can trade your way up, but to me, if you're going to do a rebuild, you might as well go all in on it.
Right? No, they should. And Belichick, I think, is hard headed in that respect. I don't think Belichick is ready to admit to himself that he needs to do a rebuild because he's never done it.
See, I think rebuild was the plan from the get-go this season. I think that's why he was just fine with eight of his starters sitting out for COVID, and they were literally going to run with Stidham, and we know how he is, or Hoyer, which is not any better. So they were able to get Cam on the deal because no one else wanted him, quite frankly. So they rolled the dice that way. We assumed it was this grand plan because it's Belichick. But I think he went into the season thinking this is going to be a rebuild. And Sunday will tell the tale, because if they go to 2-5, it's over.
I agree with that. Yeah, you can't go 2-5. And I do think Belichick's going to want this game. It's a division rival. I think he's going to want this game.
The division is not overly strong, so they could still win the division with a 9-7 type record.
Yep.
But again, they're not going anywhere. This roster is not good. This offense is not good. They do not have playmakers. They're very slow. I find this Raiders at Cleveland game pretty fascinating.
It is.
And
yes,
I love the Raiders in this spot. I really do. The line is Cleveland -2.5. Cleveland came off the win last week against the Bengals, where it literally took everything they had to beat the Bengals. But they were deemed amazing for beating the Bengals. Vegas coming off the whooping from Tampa. I look for Vegas to win this game. Derek Carr is flying under the radar, quietly having a fantastic season, and I like Vegas. Your thoughts?
It's at Cleveland. I like Cleveland this one. Baker rolled last week. I don't think anybody saw Baker throwing for 5 touchdowns last week. Now they did lose our Odell Beckham for the year, so that's going to limit that offense a little bit. So I don't know, but you could be right. Vegas could roll, but interested to see how Cleveland responds.
Baker did have good numbers, but he did play the Cincinnati Bengals.
That's very true. Cincinnati Burrows.
So yeah, Cincinnati Burrows. They played Joe Burrow featuring
Yes.
53 guys.
Yeah.
So I like Vegas in this game. Not a whole lot to talk about with this one, but it's an intriguing game that I think Vegas is 3-3. Cleveland's 5-2. Vegas needs this game more than Cleveland does for sure.
Oh, yeah, they do desperately.
But if the Raiders win this game, then they're still alive for that wild card. That's that 7 seed. The Browns' schedule is pretty soft here. They have the Raiders this weekend. Then they have the Texans in Cleveland. Then they have the Eagles in Cleveland.
It's a loss.
And then they go to Jacksonville. So they have these 4 games, which are all winnable for Cleveland. Now, I can also see them going maybe 2-2.
Yeah, I think 2-2.
Something like that. We'll see how good they really are. If they're this team that some people are saying they are, then they're very likely going to be 9-2 or 8-3 a month from now. After that run, though, they have the Titans and Browns. I'm sorry, they have the Titans and Ravens back to back.
Loss.
And then they have the Jets. Then they have the Steelers. So
Losers, Steelers.
Yeah, you're probably going to hit that 10-6 mark just about right on, if I had to guess.
I mean, I thought after they beat Dallas, I thought I was saying 11-5 because that was a game they weren't supposed to have before the season started.
Yeah, but we didn't know what Dallas
right,
was.
I know, that's what I'm saying. But they won that game, and that was not when I picked them at the beginning of the season. I thought, okay, Dallas is going to beat them, but
sure,
of
course,
no Dallas going to be that bad. So 10-6, 11-5, and I do want to see. I don't know what they're going to do with Beckham. That really does hurt that offense. Beckham being gone.
Oh, I don't think it hurts it at all.
Really,
it's gonna. No. You kidding me? Anytime you have that diva number 1 receiver, there's always pressure, especially on these young quarterbacks, to get them the ball.
But
it's the same.
He's shut his mouth in Cleveland.
It's not about running their mouth. It's about the pressure that's there. It's the same thing as when Dez Bryant was with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott got better once Dez left. There are several examples of this. I'm not saying Beckham is not an excellent talent. What I'm saying is it'll allow Baker to spread the ball around the field. And if you look at Baker's numbers without Odell, he's actually a better quarterback when Odell's not in the lineup.
That's interesting. I had not heard that. That's maybe I don't know. I think that's really going to hurt them in playoff time though.
It may, and look, there's no denying that it's going to change the way defenses have to play this team. It's going to allow them to obviously stack the box more against their run, knowing that they don't have that threat of Beckham. They still have Landry; he's a solid receiver, but it is going to be a little different for the defensive approach of their opponent. And like you said, that will matter come playoff time. I don't think they're going to do anything in the playoffs anyway because the AFC is just very, very top heavy. And 2 of those teams that are better than they are in their own division, and they've already whooped them. So I don't think, I think it is Cleveland. So getting to the playoffs in and of itself is going to be a massive victory. We'll see how they do building on that going forward.
It'll be interesting to watch for sure because I don't know. I think Beckham was really important to this offense because you have Jarvis Landry there, but Landry's been inconsistent.
Yes, he has. He has. But I think it's going to be better for Baker specifically. I'm not saying it's better for all quarterbacks to lose, or it would be better for even most quarterbacks to lose Beckham. I think quite the opposite. But younger quarterbacks who do a better job of spreading the ball around the field, I think it's going to be better for Baker as far as being able to get the ball to other players. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
That's why they play the game.
That's why they play the game. Tua.
Can't wait.
Tagovailoa?
Can't wait. Tua Tagovailoa.
MVP? Half a season worth of games. He plays that well, right?
I think he'll play well, but I don't think we'll get that well.
So they're hosting the Rams, and this line is Rams -3.5, probably just about right. In Miami, of course, like as I said, they're getting about 3 points for that. So you're figuring Vegas thinks Rams are about a touchdown better than the Dolphins, and really that's a little lower than I thought it would be, considering it's his first NFL start.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised at that too. I think Tua is going to be good. I look for good things for him, and I think he'll be hot right out the gate.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. And there's a lot of pressure on him already.
Oh,
When you
absolutely.
look at the other rookie quarterbacks that are lighting up the world, Joe Burrow, um, Justin Herbert, these guys are not just doing okay; they're doing great. I mean, they're both already top 10 quarterbacks in this league.
But Tua's got some added pressure too because this team wasn't playing bad. He's not
Right.
coming in because they were playing bad. Fitzpatrick had this team playing well, so he's got to continue that.
Yeah, Fitz got them to a 3-3 record, but I think they still realize what they are and what they aren't. And I think that they're going to go ahead and see what they have with him. They're not putting pressure on him to make a playoff run or even
No,
get them in or any of that stuff. This is essentially his tryout, because with all of these young quarterbacks hitting at such a high level, if he comes out and has 8 terrible games, they're going to draft another quarterback.
Yep.
That's just the reality of the
Yep.
NFL these days. Your leash is so short, especially when you're the number 6 overall pick.
Look, it's the worst thing that could have happened for Fitzpatrick, really, because you had all these, like you mentioned, Herbert and Burrow. These guys, these other rookies playing so well at such a high level right out the gate that it really didn't do Fitzpatrick any favors because I think Miami started looking at that and thinking we really got to see what we got with this kid.
Yeah, I mean, there's some people saying that it's not fair to Fitzpatrick that he gets pulled after going 3-3,
Right.
and that there was pressure from ownership to get Tua in, in order not to have to pay Fitzpatrick's performance-based bonuses. I don't know how much of that is true, but at the end of the day, Fitz knew exactly what this was. He was a placeholder. For whatever reason, they've decided now is the time to go ahead and get Tua in. And like you said, it's an interesting decision because they're completely alive for this division, especially if New England continues to get worse, and if Buffalo does not get back to where they were at the beginning of the year, I still think they're a 9-7 team. So
Right.
who knows? He may come in and play like Justin Herbert, and if he does, the Dolphins can win this division. I mean, I don't expect
Yeah.
that to happen, but
No, I don't
it
either. Crazier things have
it
happened.
could. But anyway, I'm gonna be really excited to see him play, regardless of who wins this game. If I'm picking a winner, I like the Rams to win the game. If nothing more, I think the Rams are a pretty good team, and we have no idea what Tua is going to look like.
No, I agree. I didn't think it was not fair what they did with Fitzpatrick. I just felt like Fitzpatrick didn't do anything to lose that job. He was playing well, and they were 3-3. They were in the mix of it, and all of a sudden that just stops. And you're going to two. I felt bad for him. I didn't think it wasn't fair. I just felt bad for him because he didn't warrant losing his job.
Yeah, no, I see. I definitely see. Yeah, I see that point of view, and I agree with it as well. But at the end of the day, it's the Tua show. Every
Right.
single move was calculated on when does this kid play. When this kid is ready, and we think he's ready. Thank you for your services. Go back to backup. So that's it. New Orleans at Chicago is an interesting
Ugh.
game. It's one you grimaced at earlier, and I was
I
wondering
just
why. It's your
no,
team.
Chicago does not excite me in the least bit. I think they might be among the most boring teams in the league.
They're horribly boring. They're horribly boring. But you don't want to watch your team play?
I mean, I'll watch. I expect the Saints to have no trouble here. Chicago has no offense, and what little defense the Saints do play should be enough to more than throttle the Chicago offense.
See, I don't see that. I see this as a tricky game for New Orleans, and I like New Orleans more than you do. But the Chicago defense is for real. They can't
Oh,
score.
no doubt.
They can't score, but I could easily see a pick six from Drew in this game, maybe a fumble recovery by Chicago. I think this is going to be one of those ugly games. I like the Saints. I don't know that I like 4.5 that the Saints are giving up. This really feels like one of those weird 22-19 Saints games.
It's in Chicago. I don't know what the weather in Chicago is going to be like on Sunday. If it's cold and rainy and damp, then that could spell trouble for the Saints. But yeah, we'll see what the Saints do. I think that it does look like Michael Thomas is on track to play this week. That'll be the first time out there since week 1. Be very interesting to see what he can do, and if Drew Brees can get the ball the way he likes to do. Been some drama with Michael Thomas this year. I don't know what's going on there, but there seems to be some kind of discord there between the organization and Thomas. He was suspended one game and didn't play last week, another hamstring injury, but they've talked about maybe trading him before the deadline. I don't think they will, but just the idea they just paid him and now they're talking about trading him. I don't know what's going on in New Orleans. It just doesn't sound good.
Yeah, that is troubling.
It is. It really is.
I mean, I can understand after this season trading him, because when Drew leaves, I mean, I think they should just have a fire sale, but they've got to believe they still have a shot this season. So I think that may have just been some kind of threat to try to get him to straighten up, maybe. But like, hey, if you don't straighten your shit up, we're going to send you to Cincinnati.
Well, his
type
agent
thing.
was the one angling for a trade.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Where do you think they trade him to? The Jets?
Yeah. I don't think they're going to. But I mean, ultimately, where they should trade him is the freaking Patriots. Get you a first round
gosh.
pick.
Yes.
That'd be a great fit.
That would be a good fit. But the Patriots, on the other hand, are trying to also have a fire sale.
Yeah, I know.
It's fascinating right now when you look at the way the cap is going to go down next year. And there's going to be a lot of free agents who have been waiting for this moment that are not going to get paid.
Nope, they're not.
And a lot of teams are going to be dumping these contracts, making trades.
Yep.
And look, there's probably 4 or 5 teams right now that have a lot of expensive players that are underperforming, Dallas Cowboys, that need to just absolutely clean house. Dallas right now needs to trade off every player they have. I mean, I say that. I don't literally mean that. They need to unload Zeke Elliott. If anyone would even touch that contract, they probably wouldn't. Amari Cooper, you got to go. I love you, but you're not a $20 million a year receiver. Jalen Smith. The problem is they've overpaid these guys so much. I don't even know that anyone would take them.
Yeah, who wants that contract?
Who's going to take DeMarcus Lawrence? He's with 1 sack all season.
For that money? No way.
So, I mean, Jerry has screwed the pooch. Not to get into that. I'm just saying that's a perfect example of all these overpaid players. No, at least with a Stephon Gilmore or something like that, you have the talent, like a Jamal Adams type player. Everyone knows they're great. So there's going to be teams lining up to pay those guys whatever they want.
I did see tonight where Jerry and the Cowboys are not expected to trade Michael Gallup for whatever reason.
Well, trading Michael Gallup, I wouldn't trade Michael Gallup. I would trade Amari Cooper because Cooper's already tied up. You're going to have to pay Michael Gallup eventually, yes. And I could see trading him now. I just don't think you get what you need.
You don't.
I mean, he's such a good receiver. He can easily be a number 1 for you. I think Amari Cooper is the only piece they have that's overpaid that a team would be interested in. He would be great in New England. He would be great in Green Bay. There's a handful of teams that are on that playoff hunt or in the playoff hunt that really need a receiver. So I also heard today that Green Bay is looking at Will Fuller, which I thought was interesting. I think that would be a good move for the Packers.
I do too. It just only thing with Will Fuller is he has trouble staying healthy. That's the only thing that concerns me with Will Fuller. But you can get a good 2nd round pick and go with it. I mean, Houston has to have something. I expect Houston to be active at the trade deadline. J.J. Watt, trade him.
Oh, yeah. Get rid of J.J. Watt. You got to. Yeah, his best days are behind him.
Look, they are. And he will always be a Texan. I mean, this doesn't mean it's not an indictment on him.
No,
go ahead and let him go somewhere else. When he retires, he'll come back to Houston. He'll
sign a 1-day contract, just like Emmitt Smith did
just
in
like
Dallas.
Everybody else. This is not. It does nothing. Sign JJ or trade JJ Watt. Get you a good draft pick. He's a 2nd round draft pick too. But the longer you hold on to him, that 2nd round draft pick this year becomes a 3rd round pick next year.
See, I don't even know that they could get a 2 for him. I think they could. I think they still could. And there's a team, there's a team out there that's going to go on a Super Bowl run that just needs that one more piece on defense.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's his value is diminishing every year.
Every year. And every time he gets hurt, it goes down a little bit further. He's still healthy this year.
No, he is. He's been okay. But if you can get you a pick, they have no first or second round pick next year. You got to have picks.
Well,
so
it's almost like their previous GM may not have known exactly what he was doing.
Start on that crap. Fire O'Brien.
So this is one of those shows where we really don't have any kind of guidelines. We're just kind of going over here and over
flying
here.
Off the cuff,
and there's nothing wrong with that, because people that are listening are probably like, vacuuming or something and, cleaning their house and halfway listening anyway.
Yeah,
so
right. They know how this goes. They know we're not gonna stay on top of it very long.
God, no. So anyway, I like the Saints. I think that's where we left off. I like the Saints in a 22-19, 23-20, 17, even maybe 17-14 type game. Although I don't know that anyone can score that low in today's NFL, even if you have two good defenses.
Yeah, that's true.
So I like the Saints, but I would not pick them to cover the line. I just think it's going to be a tight, ugly game.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is going to depend on the weather in Chicago. If it's going to be that winter weather in Chicago, that's trouble for the Saints.
Yeah. And you've said this before, Nick Foles is really good at bouncing back. And they got smacked around Monday night in Los Angeles. We didn't really talk much about that game, but the Rams looked good. Don't know how much of that was Rams and don't know how much of that was just Chicago's inept offense. I think it was a little bit of both. But, Nagy's a good coach, and I think that they're going to bounce back in this game. So if I'm New Orleans, I'm pretty concerned about this being, I'm not going to say a trap game, because I don't think the Saints are that much of a front-running team this year. But it's a game that they should win on paper, that they could lose.
Yeah, they could. And if I don't know, this Saints team week to week they're hard to predict, and being in Chicago coming off a loss,
right?
It's even harder to predict. So I would take the Saints, but I wouldn't be surprised if Chicago pulled it out.
Right, you're not betting money on this game.
No.
Moving on to the Seahawks and the Niners, you think Seattle's going to roll in this game? And my question for you is, what makes you think San Francisco is not back?
Inconsistency. I saw them lose 43-17 at home to the Dolphins. Now, they looked good the last couple of weeks, so they did shake that game off nicely. But I just don't know what version of Garoppolo is going to show up. They're still injured at several key positions. So I think that Russell Wilson can come in and have a field day on the defense.
I think it's a fair point. I think the Miami game, you can't put too much stock into that, because while Garoppolo did start, he was still clearly hurt. And you're right about the injuries. They still have a lot of problems in it, a lot of injury issues, rather. So we'll see if they can overcome that. But Shanahan's a good coach. The last 2 weeks, they've throttled New England. They beat the Rams convincingly the week before. And Seattle's defense is atrocious. And so I think that Jimmy G is going to have a big game. I think they're going to be able to run the ball at will on Seattle. They do have a top 5 defense. And so I think this is going to be a tight ball game. Seattle -3 pretty much tells you that Vegas is telling you that these teams are about dead even as far as they're concerned, which does surprise me. I would have probably said Seattle -4 or 5 if I was guessing the line. So I like San Francisco in this game. You clearly like Seattle.
Yeah, I'll take Seattle. I'm not against Russell Wilson ever.
There you go. I don't blame you. I mean, he's pretty good. Last time I checked, he's all right.
He's not bad. He's been fairly consistent in his career.
I mean, he's no Ben DiNucci. But
no, of course not. Yeah.
gotta keep poking at him a little bit.
Absolutely.
So Tampa at New York, and the only reason we're really going to talk about this game is, to me, this line is massive as well. I know you're way higher on Tampa than I am. The Giants obviously are a 1-5 football team, but they play a little bit better every single week.
Absolutely. I do. I like the Giants. I like the way they're playing.
They're at home in this game. Tampa feels like it's time for a little bit of a letdown. I'm not saying Tampa's going to lose this game, but I think that the Giants could be a little sneaky and give them a little bit of a pushback on this one.
Yeah, they could. I expect the Giants to play tough, especially on defense. But where they are going to have trouble is the offense. Daniel Jones has no one to run the ball and no one to really throw to. So that's where they're going to struggle, and that's where Tampa's going to take advantage.
Yeah, and I think Tampa wins this game. And look, they may go in there and win it, 28-3. I don't know.
Yeah, I think this can be convincing.
But I just have a feeling that this could be a trap game for Tampa, and not necessarily even lose the game. But if I'm putting money on it, I wouldn't feel comfortable with this. Just maybe I'm just too cautious sometimes.
I'm questioning that line. Even thinking that Tampa is going to roll, I'm still questioning if I like 10.5 or not.
So let's talk some college football, Lane. Tell me a little bit about some matchups this week and who you guys got.
Well, LSU is going to have the Auburn Tigers this week. Battle of the Tigers. It's in Auburn this week. Auburn is, speaking of inconsistent, they have been the model of inconsistent. They got beat by South Carolina a couple weeks ago. LSU just completely blew out South Carolina last week. And Auburn lost again last week, I believe. So they're coming up 2 straight losses. They're at home. LSU's had their number recently. And Miles Brennan is out again for the Tigers this week. So LSU will be starting true freshman TJ Finley at quarterback. And if he comes out this week and plays like he did last week and they roll, Ed Orgeron's going to have a lot of questions to answer.
He's going to be the new starter.
Yeah, he's still saying it though. All week he said it.
Yeah, all that loyalty bull crap.
He's going to have a lot of questions to answer if he does that. But we'll see what happens. Like these games, Auburn and LSU, they're always weird. Something unexpected always happens. So I'm not saying LSU is going to roll like they did last week, but they could.
Is this the point where I can go ahead and make the cheesiest joke ever and say I have a conviction that the Tigers are going to win this game?
It's so terrible.
It's every year, man.
Yeah,
I think the Tigers are going to win this game.
It's so brutal.
Yeah. So it's technically the truth, though.
It is. No, it's if you want to look at it, that's one way to look at it. The Tigers are going to win.
You think you guys are going to win? You think your version of the Tigers are going to win?
If my version of the Tigers that played last week shows up, yeah, I think they'll win easily. Auburn, their defense.
What about the Missouri version?
Missouri version is going to get blown out. So that's I don't ever want to see that version again.
There you go. Isn't Missouri the Tigers as well?
Yes.
This has got to change.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
It's like a quarter of the SEC is a Tiger, right? I mean, this is a little crazy.
No, it is. And another good matchup this week is that I think could be good is Texas and Oklahoma State. You look at it, Oklahoma State's ranked number 6. Texas is unranked, but Texas being at Oklahoma State, Texas still has a good quarterback, and I do want to see how they play out the rest of the year. They've had a couple tough losses, but I think Texas could sneak up on Oklahoma State this weekend. That's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, that's an interesting matchup. I tend to agree with you. I think that's going to be one almost a little bit like this Giants and Tampa game where Texas is not that much of a dog, I don't think, even though they're unranked. But I expect them to play well.
I do too, and I'm looking at the Big Ten. They got Ohio State and Penn State this week. Number 18, Penn State. Number 3, Ohio State. Penn State lost last week. Did not look good at all in that loss. So that first game of the season, of course, it's been a weird year for everybody, but particularly the Big Ten. So that game could be good just because teams they're kind of getting acclimated. They had the non-conference opponents they normally have to get ready. So that could be a tight game, Ohio State and Penn State.
Yeah, it could be. And it seems like every year I look forward to the Ohio State Michigan and the Ohio State Penn State. And Ohio State always blows the doors off both of them. I just want there to be a little more competition in that.
Well, I think you might have it this year, just because the circumstances.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, it's crazy that they're just now getting going, isn't it?
Right. It's the only second game of the season for them, and they didn't have a preseason. They didn't really have a camp, so it was all virtual. So really, they didn't know they were playing until a month ago.
Right.
So,
right.
These teams, these players have not had a good chance to get warmed up and ready to go, and they're still trying to get in midseason form. So this game could be close for sure.
It'll be interesting. I'm going to watch it. I mean, definitely going to watch it.
And the other game I would keep an eye on is Arkansas at number 8, Texas A&M. Arkansas has surprised everybody, me included. They have played lights out this season. Every game they've been in, I think, has been close. Don't quote me on that. I'm going off memory, but I think they've been in every game they've played, and they've won more games than anybody thought they would. They've turned things around in a heartbeat, and they look good. So Texas A&M has been inconsistent. They've got a couple big wins here lately. They beat Florida, which I didn't think anybody beat Florida this year. So that was a good win for them. But that game could be tight. I do think Texas A&M pulls it out, but it could be closer than people think.
There you go. Your college football preview. Recap by your expert.
I don't know about that. Let's move on to the last segment. I'm excited about this. I came up with this idea, ran it past you. And it's kind of we're going to do our deadlocks, but we're going to add something to it because for whatever reason, we feel the need to start looking at Vegas and betting on these games. So I'm going to take 3 games, and then you're going to take 3 games every week. We try to keep it different, but if I might like one team, but you might the other team they're playing, and so we'll kind of have a fun bet that way. But that'll be our deadlocks. We'll call it hedge your bets, and that'll be our deadlock fix. We're actually betting on these games, and we'll see how we do on Monday. So I'll let you start, Ben. Go ahead and tell me your hedge your bets.
So the 3 I like the Giants to cover over Tampa. I like Tampa to win the ball game. But if I was putting money on it, I would actually go the Giants way. I think it's going to be within 10 points in the end. So that's number 1. I like Vegas to win outright at Cleveland. My favorite pick of the week, Raiders to win at Cleveland. And I like San Francisco to cover at Seattle. It's a 3-point line, so Seattle could theoretically win 1 or 2 points, and I would still win. But I like San Francisco, and I really think San Francisco is going to win the game. But I definitely like them to cover.
I don't know if I'd touch that game. I really don't. That's a risk, I think.
Maybe so.
Well, I'm going to go off of that, and my 3 games are going to be different. I'll have Miami covering 3.5 against the Rams. I think Miami can easily cover 3.5 to his debut. I think he's going to inspire that team to play better than they've played all season, and I think they can possibly win that game, but for sure cover 3.5. Next, I'll take the Patriots to cover 4 against Buffalo.
Oof.
Look, Patriots have struggled the last couple of weeks. I know that, but this is a conference game. Belichick is good in conference games. He's good against Buffalo, and I think Belichick wants to make a statement. I think he wants to win this game, and I think he's tired of getting embarrassed. So I look for them to win this game and cover. Last pick of the week, I feel good about this. Steelers plus 3.5 against Baltimore.
Oof. Talk about not wanting to touch a line. Oof.
I love the Steelers, and I'm high on them, have been all year. I think they are ready. They need to make a statement win, and this is just the team to do it, their most hated rival. So I like the Steelers in this game.
Man, that's a ballsy pick there. I don't know. They're due for a loss, man. They could lose eventually.
I do think they're going to split with Baltimore. I think they could easily split with Baltimore.
But they're going to win this first one, huh?
I think so. I feel good about it.
Interesting stuff. So we'll see whose wallet is lighter come Monday. And
this is probably a bad idea for us.
Oh, we're going to get rich, right?
Yeah. Well, we didn't do great on our deadlock picks, so I'm not sure we're going to get rich in Vegas.
Yeah, but deadlock was more of one of those, you had to pick something crazy and, try to either look, extremely smart or extremely stupid, right?
I tell you what I should have done is I should have done this a couple weeks ago and picked Tampa to roll to Green Bay.
There you go. And I would have lost a lot of money on that.
I know.
Well, hey, there's a preview for week 8. Any closing thoughts from you, sir?
Just going to be a good weekend of college football. Keep an eye on the LSU and Auburn game. And let's ask you this. What's the one NFL game, if you just could watch one game, which one would it be?
Baltimore and Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
It's not even close. I think so too. Followed by Seattle and San Francisco. Because I love that rivalry. It's not quite what it was when Cap was playing.
Yeah, right.
But it's close. And I think San Francisco's back on the rise if they can just get the injuries to stop to an extent. I still think they can compete for that division. And look, that division race is going to be epic. I mean, you have either, if your choice is the Rams, the 49ers, or the Cardinals as the worst team in your division, then
Yeah.
holy hell.
Yeah, you're doing okay.
I mean, you may have 4 double-digit win teams in one division. They can all make the playoffs theoretically under this new format.
Yeah. Oh, and the Cardinals coming off a win against Seattle. That's unheard of. So, yeah, this division is by far the best in football, and can't wait to see how it finishes out. And I think you're right. All those teams could make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's very possible. I'm not going to say it's likely. It's going to depend on what teams like New Orleans do, what teams like Chicago do. Moving into it, we obviously know there's only going to be one team, and that's still one team too many coming out of the NFC East. So no wild cards there to worry about. That's for damn sure.
No, not at all.
And if they change the playoff format like they should, there would be no teams coming out of the NFC East.
They really do have to change that playoff format. I don't know what's taking so long.
They do.
The NFL, for all the good NFL has done, they are really late to the party on a lot of stuff. Baseball has changed their playoffs and realigned their playoff schedule, so to speak. The NBA has done the same thing in some sense, and the NFL is status quo.
Yeah, and look, I think their point in their reasoning is it works this way. It works properly 80% of the time. Maybe one matchup per year, you get a team that's actually hosting a team with a worse record, which is okay because you can't make it perfect, right? So let's say an 11-5 is hosting a 12-4. I can live with that. What I don't like is a 7-9 hosting a 13-3. That's just absurdity. I mean, you literally have a team that won 5 or 6 more games, depending on the technical schedule of it. 5 or 6 more games hosting another team. That's when it just gets absurd.
No, that's right. It does. And I want to see them change. I think that they at some point follow suit and change. I just hate they're last to the party on everything.
I think the best way to fix it would be to leave it as it is, but put a qualifier on it. So let's say if that's 8 games, if that's 9 games, that would at least be a start. So the league could say, if no team in your division wins 9 games, then your division is basically null and void for the playoffs this year.
Love it. Love it.
And that way, at least they have a winning record.
But I don't think they're going to do that. I think to do that, they're going to have to get rid of divisions.
But why? I mean, you can leave it as it is because, like I said, it works fine 80% of the time, maybe even 90% of the time.
But it does. But the one time it doesn't, it just doesn't look good when you have no representative for a certain conference in the playoffs.
Well, you have a conference, just not a division.
Well, division,
yeah. I mean, but look at that. Look at the NFC East this season. I mean, if every team, if there's no team that wins more than 7 games or 6 games, then why would they want that in the playoffs? I
just think it's a bad look. I think that's a bad look when you have no team or no representative from that conference in the playoffs. No other league is doing that. Every conference makes playoffs.
Yeah, but
or every division.
Yeah, but you just don't have with the small amount of games that there are in football. I mean, you can look at the way that divisions in baseball end up on a normal season, and you may have a division winner that may win 88 games, and they may be hosting. But even at that point, it's not the same. There's just something different about football. I don't know if you know what I mean.
No, I mean I do. I don't like the idea. I'm all for not expansion, but I'm all for a change in a playoff and a realignment. But I just I don't like a conference representative not making the playoffs at all.
So then you would take it the way it is over that, because the only way to fix it is to not have somebody in there.
Honestly, I don't like divisions anyway at all. I would just have an AFC and NFC and play it out.
That would be best, but I see why they do it because of scheduling. It's all in an automated system. The first place team here plays the first place team there from last year, and second place, and then you play your cross division, and then you play your interdivision games, and you're done. So the schedule almost makes itself. If you follow the pattern, you could literally see the schedule for your team, what they'll do next year based on what they've done. So that works. And I think their reasoning is all of the pros outweigh the occasional con of just having a terrible division. So we'll just have to live with it.
We're stuck with it. I mean, this is the NFL, and they're not going to make a change anytime within the next couple of years. So
no. So when the 6-9-1 Philadelphia Eagles host the 12-4 Rams, or even the 11-5 Rams, we're just gonna have to deal with it.
Here come the Eagles. The mighty Eagles.
Hey, it's better to be the first best team in the worst division than the last best team in the worst division.
That is true. That's very true.
So anyway, enough about the NFC least. They already get too much of our airtime.
They do. They'll get more of it.
That's going to do it for us. Don't forget to join us for Monday's show, where we're going to see how good we were on these picks.
And how much money we lost.
And how much money we won. Have a great weekend. And that's going to do it for us for this episode of Bending the Bracket. Thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to follow our latest content. You can also find us on Facebook or Twitter @Bending Sports. Have a great day.